Kia ora and welcome to the Lightroom forecast if you haven't joined this channel or should I say watched it before. These are general readings. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, as is always the case. And this reading is the collective reading for for the new moon in Capricorn, which is coming up quite soon. Meditating upon the times or upon the feeling generally at the moment. It's like leading up to this new moon, it still feels like, if you've watched, do look back at the other previous moon collective readings, because there's always a thread that continues. Not in the same way always, obviously, but as an unfolding story, I suppose you could say, as these readings are unfolding stories. A period of quietness over that full moon in Cancer. There's a kind of feeling of things not quite building up, working out, possibly a stymied element as we move closer to this new moon in Capricorn. I do feel that after that new moon, things will speed up quite dramatically. It's still a similar feeling, more so weighted on the full moon in Cancer on self-care and nurturing and taking time out. So let's get the cards out after that blurb. But thanks for all your comments, likes, and all of that. It really helps to get this channel seen by more people. So let's get some cards out here for this new moon in Capricorn. And if I sound a bit nasal, it's because my sinuses are all blocked up. Lots of pollen around here at the moment. So thank you. For some reason I'm sort of hearing you choose. So today I'm going to let the cards jump. I'm going to choose them, pull them out. Okay, we come out with the Hierophant. I see the Hierophant as information needing to be received. Often it is a card that speaks of the church. Traditionally, it was the Pope. And we've got Neptune at the end appearing. Excuse me. So we've got the Hierophant here. We will go through and clarify, as we always do on this channel. We're speaking collectively here. This is a reading for the globe. There's certainly a lack of news in some ways at this time where I am. I guess because it's over that Christmas New Year period, but there's a lack of international news, it seems, at the moment, which I guess always happens at this time of the year. Does it or does it not? I'm not sure. But anyway, we get given a key with the Hierophant, this gorgeous Hierophant here. You might be finding yourself, or finding that you possibly feel the need for a mentor. I know, speaking collectively, we think of a mentor, a guide, some guidance here that ideally is weighted in the area of wisdom and common sense and an open mind. We have here, coming up next, the Prince of Swords. This is about being carried off in many and varied directions without being focused, pretty much. Sometimes this is necessary, but it can't go on for too long because it becomes unhealthy. speaking of a lack of news, we can be carried along by these little thought forms, which are described in the Thoth deck here as thought forms, these little fairies that take this Prince of Swords in all sorts of directions. We do have a level of self-responsibility here that can be exerted. That Prince has hold of the reins. So there is a level of control in looking at this card in that sense. And a large level of self-responsibility as well. What's in the micro is seen in the macro, and vice versa. As above, so below. We all know this saying. There's nothing wrong with asking for some guidance. We all need that at certain times, collectively also. So it's keeping, there's a need to find some level of balance in this card and know when the timing's right to cut the reins here. The thoughts, the ideas, the potentials here. The ones that are superfluous will be cast aside when the reins are cut. The ones that have stickability will continue to exist with this Prince. I do talk often or speak in metaphor, and as I said, these readings are incredibly general, especially the collective reading. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and if it's not your flavour of reading, there are lots of wonderful readers out there that go into all those various other things, which I don't. What is it? Divine, feminine and masculine and all of that sort of focused on love. I don't really do that unless it becomes apparent in the reading. It's not centered, I'm not love-centric in that sense with my reading. So then we have the wonderful Fool, starting off anew, unencumbered. Yeah, these little irrelevant or superfluous forms have dissipated and disappeared here. So we're unencumbered by the past with the Fool. There is an opportunity to start out anew with some added wisdom and guidance from this Hierophant. There also might be a need globally, collectively, to gravitate towards understanding how you seek or get spiritual sustenance. I'm not talking religion, I'm talking spiritual holism for yourself individually, that in turn is reflected out to the wider community, to the world. There's at this time, there's a focus on that spiritual sustenance in a world where possibly people do have a deep hole that when I mean a deep a deep hole, a deep gap, a need that can't be filled or fulfilled with consumerism and all of that sort of stuff for any length of time or any great sustenance, You could say like a spiritual void seems to be a feeling that's coming off these cards. We seek that, we find it in our own ways. There is no right way, there is no wrong way. We just seek it, don't we? If we want to explore that side of ourselves. if that is what we feel we are lacking. And then this fiery firebrand, fire of fire, the Knight of Wands. There's a sort of, could you say, what are those, like, not a water blaster, like a fire blaster. There's somehow a necessity, we embody this full, to kind of have a purification or a burn off. As much productivity and new growth comes from fire, as much as, I guess, water, you know. There's something about a purification of sorts here with that knight. And the knight is very compulsive. It is driven, it is fast, it's compulsive behaviours, compulsive patterns. As I said, the Hierophant here holds the key to being aware of what that is, I should say, for us individually, as it is always reflected in the whole, if this is making sense. And then we have the Princess of Cups, a beautiful dreamy muse, this card. That's why I said Neptune comes into the picture. And in fact it does astrologically as well, as we near closer to this new moon in Capricorn. It is an inspiring card. Dreamy, yes, but what would life be without imagination? Pretty damn dull, I think. Not a lot would really get done. Imagination is underestimated. Inspiration underestimated. The muse here. Yes, it can be carried away. We can get a little bit lost sometimes within that, but it's as if after the fire comes the water. So let's clarify. Often this is the first reading for this bunch of readings, which I am doing all the individual astro signs back into the swing of that this time around. So often the first reading can be a little bit, maybe a bit slower. Anyway, a bit disjointed sometimes. We're not really focused on anything here, but the Three of Wands comes out. We're on this path. We ain't getting off it. We are propelled here with that Ace of Wands behind, the Two of Wands in the hands. If you are familiar with the meanings, obviously, of tarot, which you probably are if you're watching this, you know, the Two of Wands, we see what our resources are. The Ace of Wands is a spark. And so with the Three of Wands, we are able to bring things into form. In fact, it's starting to be seen in the physical world around us. You ask, what is starting to be seen? I would say on an individual level, things that you've wanted to bring into form, works in progress. On a collective level, we start to see, as I think I've mentioned before, you know, the Swiss cheese, we're starting to see holes in a lot of structures. All of that we have done for the last few years, I guess, before the pandemic even. And so works in progress, works are in motion. There's actually nothing, on an individual level here, there's nothing that stops us along this path, because we've actually experienced a lot thus far. We've overcome just that starting block in terms of co-creation. Anyway, let's get back to clarifying the Hierophant. The Hierophant, please, for this collective reading. Yes, timing. And this is what I said at the beginning. There is what seems to be a feeling of a slowness at the current time. A waiting period. A waiting period. Alchemy, mixing of the waters. You know, speaking of starting blocks and the Three of Wands, and that we're on this path, I can't help but be kind of slightly fixated by the path here that leads along. We're kind of ahead of ourselves, possibly collectively. We're ahead of ourselves on the path, but it is still about timing, if that makes sense. Let's look at this Prince of Swords, please. I always feel for the Prince of Swords. Timing. Of course, that was the Temperance card. Prince of Swords. Well, not in a pitiful way, I don't feel for the Prince, but it is that those forms that we create in thought now have the ability to come into form quite, I wouldn't say easily, but quite strongly at this time. And so we like to be, as I said before, wisdom, common sense. Speaking here, we're looking at the Prince of Swords with the many thought forms taking us on a ride. What are we going to let go of? And beyond what we're going to let go of, what is, I wonder, the purpose to it? Because to everything there's always a purpose. So to clarify the Prince of Swords, we've got the Four of Swords, the Knight in respite. The Knight in respite. Rest. No one offers this to us, we give it to ourselves here. It might be a new way of doing that world. It might be a new level of common sense and wisdom appearing. But at some point within this, because in this state, in our clear chamber of rest, we get a lot of information coming to us, whether that's intuitively, whether it's mentally. We need to decipher the difference between that mental chatter and our intuitive capabilities, of which everyone has. Sometimes we don't want to listen to that because it doesn't suit us. We have the Tower. Infusion of clarity and new information in the Tower. There's a key here to this, that we understand this need collectively, globally, to really lay some new foundations. Are we going to be doing that soon? I think everything is in the process, is it not? I don't think it happens that quickly or easily. If we take it in that literal sense, the Tower. Building a new foundation because the old ones are sort of crumbling. Of course, we always tend to look at how that impacts our own life because it does. There could be a level of disappointment. There's always something on the other side, right? So if you turn around, you see the Two of Cups. Focus on what's lost. We focus on what's lost and feel a high level of disappointment. When all this card is actually saying, the Five of Cups, is that we can shift our perspective. And that in the doing of that, we learn something quite quite handy, quite helpful. Anywho, let's have a look at the full here. So it is a sort of, it's very much a global reading, suggesting that there's timing involved. There's always timing involved, isn't there, in anything? There's a need to, on a personal level, because that contributes to everything that happens in the world. You think you're a small little ant. Yeah, we are, but we are all connected. You know, we are all connected here. What was I saying? A directive to delineate what is your intuitive guidance from the mind chatter, of which is usually based upon fear and behaviours that are habitual. Right. So we look at the Fool, we get the High Priestess. We need to it is suggesting here. The High Priestess is consummate, intuitive master or mistress. There's a lot of information within the High Priestess. If we choose to focus in on that, and I mean that in the sense of focusing in on that within ourselves, that can stand us in good stead. Because what this reading or these collection of cards are saying to me also is that we are heading into a new age, a new period, obviously, in time. And that this new period in time is a highly sort of charged period that we're entering into, because it's all about energy globally, personally. It's all about energy, how we use it, what kind of energy we use. Are we aware of our own energetics? Because we need to be. We need to be in order to be able to function. You know, so there's also that. So we look at the Fiery Knight, the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Wands, please. We did have actually, when the High Priestess came out, we had the Magician on the bottom of the deck, but we're looking at the Knight of Wands, please. There has to be a burn off in order to be able to start something fresh and new and clear. We have the Chariot protected in that armour. It's all about balance here. Balance between the polarities. Balance between or with our dual nature. I think collectively, globally, if you look at, reflect that back out to nature, you know, natural law, is all about balance. In order to fly out of this primordial sea of salt, which gives life to everything, which gets movement occurring, we need consummate balance. Holism is the new ism. You know, holism. And if it means a big burnout, and then the water comes to soothe and act as a salve, then that's a wonderful thing. Let's have a look at that Princess of Cups. Princess of Cups. We have the Ten of Cups. this perfect moment, because this is a moment of seeing that happiness radiating. It's like rainbow. It's a beautiful thing. We understand the nature of that dreamy card, but the general thing here, and so we get that 10 of Cups. We also get the Ace of Wands. We're starting this again, so we do a big clean out. We get infused with this gift, which is a gift of action, creation. We are then able to have more of a nurturing, reciprocal foundation to this society. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So, or look at this story. I'm just going to get a couple of Brian Froud Pixie and Fairies, just for a little bit more of a glimpse. It's sort of like the blinkers are on, possibly. The blinkers are on. And by March, quite possibly they come off. And there's a sort of a reveal of what the next 6 months will be, or something like that. That's what I think. We get Faf the Footer, this little darling that is just 1 foot on the ground at any given time. He just can't seem to have both feet on the ground. It's sporadic energy. It's on and off. It's stymied 1 minute and buzzing the next. So really, we are seeking to have all our feet on the ground. And but of course, sometimes that on and off stuff is necessary. It can create quite a lot of tension just on an individual level, and therefore tension in the world is also. So we had Faf the Footer, one on and off sort of energy. We get the Hob Job. This can be a card of unfounded worry. As I say, tension, anxiety, they're quite high things running at the moment in a lot of populations, obviously, all around the world. If we bring it back down to earth with 2 feet on the ground, the guts of everything is surely support and friendship, with the Friends card. I mean, it does sound maybe a little bit naive, but you don't have to approach every new person in your life like they want to take something from you, or that they're not a potential friend or compadre. There's a serious what's the word? I'm a bit tongue-tied. A serious collective theme of suspicion, covetousness, all of that. No matter what your resources are, whether they're limited or large. And I think we need to, I think we're going to see some big changes from March of 2023. They may not be apparent to begin with, but they might go off in a bang, in a big fire blast, just to clear some things out. I don't know. Rock mineral crystal. Well, interestingly, this flew out. It does have the 4 elements. In this deck, we get fire. So obviously passionate, creation, travel, and courage. I think we all need courage at the moment. We all need to try and foster that. it's not all bad. I don't think this is a bad reading. I mean, to me, it's just a developmental reading, for the times that we're in. So I hope you got something out of it. And do check out any titles on this channel in the past that you're attracted to. Have a wee look. Excuse me. And also all the individual astro signs will be up from whence the time that you see this video, they'll be up within 2 days of this. So on that note, ka kite. Thank you for joining me here at the Lightroom Forecast. And have a wonderful week. Ka kite. Bye.